All right, well, welcome everyone to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome to this Q&A. A few things came up in the last the last few days. So one thing, I guess speak about the first thing first, and that is since getting closer to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, question came up where let's say a non-Jew, we'll make it easy. Let's say the process of conversion, even if really they're not in the process of conversion, right? Let's say somebody, this person did something wrong, right? Let's say they spoke Lashon Hara, spoke badly against someone else. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, they feel bad they did it, but nonetheless, hard for them, very hard to ask for forgiveness. Now, as a Jew, even if it would be hard, gonna ask them for forgiveness. If someone asks us for forgiveness, 100%, as long as a person can forgive them 100%, they should forgive them. If not, they're considered cruel. Now, someone will say, depends on what they did, right? Does everyone deserve, right? Does everyone deserve to be, forgiven? People say, some would say someone's truly evil. They cause significant amount of pain, right? So who says you have to forgive them, right? Probably don't have to forgive them, right? It cause you with trauma, other things, yeah, that would be, big exaggeration. Say, oh, they did this to you, you suffered tremendously, maybe, still suffer today from it. And the answer would be, if they were to come to you for forgiveness, would you have to forgive them? No, I don't think so. Right? In that case, it doesn't go that far where, someone caused, whatever, serious problem, serious issues. Right? We wouldn't go that far to say they have to, they would have to forgive them if they would ask for forgiveness. Right? That's not being cruel, etc. Now, what about a case where, in our case, someone spoke badly against someone else, right? Let's say, but they feel they cannot go to that person and ask for forgiveness. It's a hard thing. So, if they were a Jew, now again, you're not going to say what you did, right? Obviously, that'd make it worse. So, what would a person do? In general, if you ask someone for forgiveness, you ask them, if I ever did anything to you, whatever, even if they know what it is. You don't say it explicitly because obviously it'll make it worse. Seemingly make it worse. Now, based on that, what if it's still hard to do? Right? What if it's still hard to do? If you're a Jew, even if it's hard to do, you have an obligation to do it. Even if it's hard. Right? Even if it's hard. Now, if you're a non-Jew, or a JIT, a Jew in training, even if that would be the case, it's hard to do. Or it seems you don't want to do it. Either case. So I would say that if it's too hard to do as a non-Jew, they don't have to do it. Yeah, that would make life very easy. Yeah, because non-Jew really doesn't have that obligation. Right? Non-Jew does not have that obligation. So if they don't have that obligation, and right now it's too hard, okay. Definitely room for leniency. Right? It's no question. Now, if this person's going to be a Jew, once they're a Jew, you take off the kid gloves. Yeah, they would have to do it. They would have an obligation to do it. Yeah, they would have to ask forgiveness because they spoke Lashon Hara, right? Let's say, whatever it is, right? We use Lashon Hara as a good example because most people are guilty of speaking Lashon Hara. So they spoke badly against someone else, okay? But they feel, I'm not going to say they feel justified per se, they probably do. If the person did something, pretty egregious or wrong right, against them. So nonetheless, Lashon Hara is still forbidden. Still forbidden. Even if it's true. Right? For most things. Someone who's evil, someone, let's say a Jew, loses their status as a Jew, i.e. they intermarry, you can speak Lashon Hara against it. Now, the question is if it's a good thing or not, it's a different issue. Technically speaking, speak all the Lashon Hara I want against non-Jews. Now you're going to say, wait a minute. Why are you allowed to speak Lashon Hara against non-Jews? When talking about Lashon Hara, really, it's going on Jews. Jews speaking badly against each other. So really, technically, I could say what I want against a non-Jew. Technically. Comes on the Chofetz Chaim and says, before I get butchered here, right? The Chofetz Chaim says you can't do it. You're not allowed to do it. It's not a good thing to do anyway. Even if you be allowed to, it's not a good thing. Right? Definitely not a good thing. But again, technically speaking, wouldn't be an issue. So a person runs into trouble here that, this is a hard thing. Because the reality is, if someone comes, asks us for forgiveness, we should forgive them. Now, that needs to be qualified because someone could say, anything they did against you? No. We're not going to go that far. Let's say, a parent was an alcoholic. Yeah. And they beat you and did other things. And let's say they ask for forgiveness, not when they're drunk. It's going to be hard to forgive them. It's going to be extremely hard. You could look at it and say, well, they have a disease. 100% they have a disease. Mental health, mental illness, different issue. It's a totally different issue because they're not in the right mind. But isn't it true, and this actually would be a segue to the second thing we'll get to, right? But isn't it true that most people who are not living a Torah lifestyle, their choice, right, as Jews or non-Jews keeping the Noahide laws, they have a choice to keep it or not. So most people grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho. No offense, anyone's a potato farmer grew up in Idaho. Jews grew up knowing nothing about Torah. So they're going to get judged differently. Can you blame them? All the treif, all the garbage they eat, right? It dulls the spirit. Most important question they may ever ask in their lifetime. Do I put ketchup or mustard on my hot dog? The whole thing nowhere in the world. Can you blame them? No. Can't blame them. They're not, they don't get a free pass, though. Obviously, they do certain things, intermarry, desecrate Shabbos, homosexuality, other things. Yeah, God's not going to just look the other way. Yeah, ignorance isn't totally bliss here. Depends what. For most things, they don't get a free pass, but they'll be looked at as if they did it by accident. For most things. There is an extremely stringent opinion, which I would say we don't hold by, but that as long as a Jew knows that they're a Jew, they have no idea what that means, but they know that they're Jewish. That the most stringent opinion holds that they're going to get punished even more severe. Why? Because you can't say they're Tinok Shanishba, that they don't know anything. That's like they were captured by the non-Jews. Can't say that because they know they're Jewish. But it's kind of hard to say. Because even if they don't know anything, even if at the very least they know they're Jewish, okay, what does that mean? They don't know anything. They think these people wearing, black hats and long coats and this and that. Maybe they think they're Amish. I don't know. They don't have any knowledge. They have zero knowledge. So for a lot of things, they'll get punished by doing it by accident, like they did it by accident. Okay. Other things, they don't get a free pass. They won't get a free pass. But according to this opinion, which again, is very hard to understand, as long as they know they're a Jew, they're taken out of this category. But they don't know anything. They think Shabbos, not doing things on Saturday, not using electronics and this and that. They think it's archaic. They think if you walk 2 miles to synagogue, driving is easier. And that's really what God wants. They don't know anything. But the fact that they know they're a Jew, a lot of people know that they're Jews. Yeah. Maybe they go to synagogue once in a blue moon, but they don't really know what it means. They never learn. They throw their, Jewish heritage in the garbage, I would say. They know nothing. How can a person say, right? How can a person say, come on? Just because they know they're a Jew, that takes them out of the category. But a lot of people, you see what they do in this world. You see how they act, just going according to their base desire. They don't see what the reality really is. Potentially, we can look at them. I mean, they look at us the same way, but you could look at them as having some sort of mental illness. Because really, they're not in the right mind. How in the world can they look at the human body? Can they look at nature? Can they look at the heavenly spheres and see there's no order? And see it's all random. Right? How's that happen? Because you say people have an agenda. People want to convince themselves of things. Famous story I always say, Stephen Hawking proved in A Brief History of Time, right? Greatest physicist of our time, proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that universe expanding. But doesn't have any scientific proof why. But he says, looks like I proved maybe the creationists are right. Maybe the story of Genesis is true. Can't say that. Forget all the science, all the math, all the physics. Forget it. You can't believe it. Because then we might say the creationists are true. Oh, okay. Proven mathematically also that this is happening. Right? Einstein said a similar thing. So if I would add both of them in a room, I said, Steve, Al, let's have a discussion. Let's have a discussion. You both agree the universe is expanding? Yes. They would both agree. Okay. You both agree that something is keeping it expanding? Yes. Clear-cut proof, according to science, according to math. The universe is expanding. Great. How is it expanding? We're not sure. That we haven't figured out yet. Okay. Now, obviously, they're going to try and figure out according to science and math. But they don't have an answer yet. They don't have an answer. So I would ask them, okay, you don't have an answer according to science. If you don't have an answer according to science, maybe there's an alternative approach. They'll say, okay, good, what's that? Let's hear. What's the answer? Go back to the beginning of the Bible, Genesis. God created the heaven and the earth. No! We're not we're not going there. We're not giving the creationists any credibility. All right, let's go back to the original question. Do you both agree the universe is expanding? Yes. Beautiful. Can you explain to me, according to science and math, or any other theory, Y is expanding. No. All right, let's repeat that. You have no scientific proof whatsoever to show, to prove it. No. Math. No. Anything else? No. Okay. But they'll say, we'll find it. We're still researching. Okay. Couldn't it be? Maybe the way God set it up in the book of Genesis, that's the way it happened? No. No. How can it be? You proved it. You have no proof scientifically. It's a possibility. They could say, well, another possibility is maybe Martians are doing it. Maybe little green men. I don't know. What's the problem here? They refuse to look at information. A lot of people like that. So how do we say that anyone's not going to see the truth? They got to screw loose because the truth is obvious. Right? You got to read the book Duties of the Heart or Duties of the Heart. Right? He speaks clearly. He goes through the gate of reflection. He talks about the miracle of the human body, the miracle of the mind, the miracle of everything out in the universe, and how it all works. So a person can say, you're right. See a lot of things, in nature, for the human body. That's all miracles, right? Now, what would other people think? Some miracles. It's nature. That's the way nature is. The way it's always been. Okay. Now, let's say, according to that, where'd nature come from? How did it get set up? So some may say Big Bang. Okay. Big Bang does not necessarily contradict the Torah. God could have made the Big Bang. Yes. But doesn't necessarily contradict Torah. Okay. Then what's the next question? Where did the Big Bang come from? It was random. And all these molecules in the universe, whatever it was, boom, the whole world formed. Does that make logical sense? If you were to take ink, drop it on a piece of paper, wouldn't it come out differently every time you drop it on a piece of paper? How can you say it's random? There's so much order in the world. So much order. Just by nature of the human body, animals, plants, how it works. Well, there's certain types of people in the world. Some people will just say, I don't care about the information. The information doesn't matter. And who cares? Doesn't have any relevance to my life. Oh, for sure it has relevance. Because if you say it's orderly, and someone's making it orderly, well, doesn't that mean there's someone in charge? Someone in charge. Abraham came to this conclusion. Brought absolute monotheism to the world. Very good. That's what he did. And how did he understand it? Either the age of 3 or the age of 40. Difference of opinion when he came to this realization. How did it happen? Because he saw a world of design. Everyone else was idol worshiping, here's Bob, right? Here's my pocket Bob, right? Here's my pocket God. And he convinced the world. Convinced the world not to be idol worshipers. By order. By design. So you have certain people in the world. They may agree. And they say, right, miracle of the human body and how it works and this and that. True. And now you take a seed, you take a a pit of a peach, hard as a rock, try and eat it, break every tooth you own. Give it to an animal. Animal won't touch it. So what do? You stick it in the ground, all things being equal. A lot of water, a lot of sunlight. What's going to happen? That outer shell is going to decompose. It's going to decompose. It's going to be roots. It's going to be a tree. Going to be a lot of peaches. Because of course, that's nature. That's how it works. Take an apple seed, same thing. Any seeds. That doesn't show design? How does that not show design? They'll say it's nature. So for most people, they'll say, yeah, it's nature. Where it came from doesn't bother me. Why doesn't it bother them? Because if they look into it and they say, oh, there's a creator, there's a designer, maybe I have to serve him. Maybe. They don't want to do that. So they'll hold on to evolution, which has never been proven. It goes against the Torah anyway. But even let's say animals, when are they formed on the fifth day? Let's say there's 1 billion years in between the fifth and sixth day. Take a monkey. Monkey is 1% difference DNA than a human. According to evolution, you have all these multiple mutations. Let's say they had mutations every second. So you got a paramecium, turns into a hydra, a creepy crawly thing, this, that, whatever it is. Now, let's say between the fifth day and the sixth day is 1 billion years. Now, the world's only 5,794 years. Right? Being 95 next week. But okay. So that being the case, you have a contradiction. Good. So one possible answer is, depends where you're standing in the universe. If you're standing in a place light years away, isn't a day going to be longer? It'll be longer. Others say a day was 24 hours. Okay. We're going to have a whole discussion on this, but let's just say for argument's sake, you're standing somewhere in the middle of the galaxy. Your day is going to be a lot longer than someone standing on Earth or on the moon or wherever. So let's say there are 5 billion years between the fifth day and the sixth day. So you take a monkey. You take a monkey which is 1% different DNA than a human. 1% difference. Now, if that monkey would have a mutation every second for 5 billion years, 5 billion years is a long time. 5 billion years. Mathematically, it comes out that monkey will never turn into a human. Statistically, by math. And that's only a 1% difference in DNA. Not to mention that they never found a missing link. I remember years ago there was an article about a missing link. What did they find? Set of teeth and a jawbone. Well, good luck. Good luck with that. So, people will still hold on to evolution. I remember I had to take 4 semesters of a science, when I was in college, when I was in university. So one of them I took was history and development of science. What's history and development of science? Evolution, right? Essentially evolution. First day, the professor gets up there and he says, when you go to the zoo and you see a chimpanzee, you see a gorilla, you're looking at your cousin in the face. I'm like, I don't know who's in your family. I don't look like a chimp. Yeah. So why is evolution taught? It hasn't been proven. Many scientists say it hasn't been proven. So why is it being taught? Well, I can't talk about religion. Right? They have to have an alternative way. The world came into being. Okay. What's the alternative? Even though, you look at evolution, never found a missing link, not even close. A lot of scientists don't believe in it either. Okay. What is the alternative to evolution? The Torah, creation, Genesis. That's the alternative. That's it. You can have all kinds of other crazy ideas. Yeah. Well, what's the point? It's either people don't want to look at the information, and if they look at the information and then they say, oh, now I have to change. They don't want to change. They're not interested in change. They don't want to be limited. They want to do whatever they want. Very good. And you have other people, even if they would admit, let's say, that this is really miraculous how it works, but they'll come up with any number of convoluted ideas that make absolutely no sense. That absolutely makes no sense. And what will they do? They'll come up with this idea, whatever it is, even if it doesn't make sense. Which now gets me to the second point. Wasn't really a question, but I'll just tell the story because, good story. I mean, I wouldn't say good story, but anyway, I had a discussion with someone yesterday. Someone potentially interested in converting. And this person tells me, first thing, and then I realize where this conversation is going to go. This person's a minister, or claims to be a minister. I'm like, all right, this is going south very quick. This person's ideas were so off the wall. I mean, he didn't think they were off the wall. Trying to show that, he didn't believe in JC, he believes in Yeshua. And he lives within inside of him. So that he doesn't have to keep anything because the Spirit's inside of him. I said, so what does the Spirit tell you? What does it tell you? I said, but don't we have to keep what God says? Logical. And try and speak logic with someone who's totally illogical. But okay. Right? So I said, didn't God give the Torah to Jewish people? 10 commandments? Yeah. That was it. Oh, really? When it says God commanded Moses, do this, do that, do the other thing. It's only the 10 commandments. But doesn't God say, Book of Deuteronomy, you can't change the Torah? Yeah, but he came, he lived it. We don't have to do it. Okay. Yeah, that's very debatable. Very good. But he can't go against what he says. He says, yeah, but you can't do half the things in the Torah. He says, well, you should be bringing sacrifice. I said, we should. I said, 100%, we should be, but we can't. Why not? Temple destroyed. Can't rebuild it till the Messiah comes. That's one of the jobs of the Messiah to do. Without going into what this crackpot was saying, I mean, total crackpot, in many ways. The issue is speaking with these type of people, 100% waste of time. Waste of time. Because the more I kept showing, you got to go back to the original. God doesn't change his mind. God said Moses is the greatest of all prophets in front of 3 million people. So you can't go against it. Yeah. But he didn't have the chance to, lead the Jewish people into the promised land. He got punished. So really, why should you listen to Moses? Joshua was more important because he was able to lead the Jewish people in. You hear the stupidity of such a statement? God says in front of 3 million people, 2 million people, 3 million people, God says in front of the entire world, in front of the entire Jewish nation, let's say better, in front of the entire Jewish nation, Moses is my trusted servant. You listen to whatever he says. Yeah, but then he hit the rock. So he got punished. He wasn't allowed to go into the land. Okay, that's true. So Joshua must have been greater. Doesn't say that. Totally doesn't say that. Moses is the greatest of all prophets. There will be never another prophet as great as Moses. That's what the Torah said. But it didn't lead them into the promised land. I said, you're right. He got punished. So he can't be that great. You hear where this is going? Like you're going, it's like a bad Freddy Krueger movie. It's like, you're in this dream and it's going over and over and over again. But he's the greatest of all prophets. There's no logic here. It's very easy to say, died for my sins. I don't have to keep anything. He lived it, or this, or that. So speaking to people like this is no logic. They're not interested in much. Now, what does this guy want? What does this guy want? This guy wanted to learn with somebody who really, knows what they're doing. Who knows Torah very well. Wants to teach him what the Torah says, what the commentaries say, and then give his spin what Yoshua says. I said, good luck. I said, go find a Messianic rabbi. That's what you're really looking for. I said, why would anyone do that? First of all, we don't believe what he says is true. Second of all, it's all a convoluted thing and how they learn, or how you're going to learn what the verses say, but it's not true. And we hold it's not true. But the thing was so ludicrous. It was, it's like talking to a brick. Yeah, what about this and what about that? And I said, but that doesn't apply. So you really can't keep the Torah anyway because, all the stuff doesn't apply, but a lot of things do apply. You're right, we can't give sacrifice, it's true. He's inside of me, I can say what I want, I can pray what I want. I don't need a synagogue, I don't need 10 people, I don't need this. There's got an issue also with the rabbis, good. So this person's got a whole agenda, like a lot of them. They have a whole agenda, based on what they think the text says. And how they look at it. Now, you're going to convince someone like that? No. You're not going to convince them because they don't want the truth. Well, I got stuck in this conversation. So when you bring logic, and this is what happens, that's why it's a waste of time with these people. But when you bring up logic and says, yeah, but the Torah says here, you can't do that. You can't get around the fact that you can't go against the prophecy of Moses. You can't do it. No, but you can interpret it like this. But the Torah doesn't say that. Stick to what the 5 books say. The Torah doesn't say it. If the Torah doesn't say it, then it doesn't say it. If it says he's the greatest of all prophets, you can't, you listen to whatever he says. And God himself says that in front of 3 million people, give or take. Where's the logic that, no, it doesn't mean that. Go to Webster's 5th definition, so good, we understand this. But if you talk to somebody like this, which I don't recommend, you see there's a screw loose, or a few. You say, oh, you think you're right, and you think, It doesn't make any sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense. If the Torah says Moses is the greatest of all prophets, good. And God says, right? And God tells Moses, tell the Jewish people, you cannot add or subtract to the Torah. And you can't go against what Moses himself says. What does that mean? Only sometimes? Yes, no, I have them inside of me. And I do this and I whatever. I said, how do you know what to do according to the Torah? You're going to say, well, he's inside of me. He speaks to me. He this. Okay, this guy's a lunatic. It's a lunatic. How would we know anything if the rabbis don't tell us what it means? How'd you know what a sukkah is? Does it have walls? Does it have a roof? What's a nice smelling fruit? You have to bring on sukkah. Someone thinks it's a pomegranate. Someone thinks it's a quince. Someone thinks it's something else. No one in their right mind is going to say it's a lemon on steroids, right? It's an esrog or a citron, whatever you want to call it. So, whatever. Every answer given according to logic, this guy went like through the roof. I don't need this, and I don't need that, and it proves like this. Doesn't prove anything. Doesn't prove anything. So what's the point? The point is, someone's got an agenda. Obviously, they want to believe what they want to believe. Yeah? And they won't listen to logic. I didn't bring up one thing the rabbi said. Logic. What would logic tell me? Yeah, when Abraham came on the scene, everyone thought he was crazy because God hadn't spoken to him. And how do you know? You're going to follow this God or whatever? He said, because there has to be a creator. And you have to know how to follow him. How are we supposed to do that? How are we supposed to do that? Because he gave us a blueprint. He gave us a Torah. And the Torah tells us what I'm supposed to do. Oh, but the Torah is very vague. Torah is only a law book. Very good. So where are we going to get the information from? And the answer is a running commentary. What's that running commentary called? The Talmud. Get the rabbis tell us what to do. And the Torah allows for interpretation. The Torah says you got to listen to Kohen and Levite in every generation. They have a right to interpret the Torah. And if you don't listen to them, death penalty. Good. So people have their own agendas. Okay. So you can have people more logical, less logical. But, at the same time, how do you get to what the truth is in general? You got to evaluate evidence. Obviously, this person is convinced. He's right. Okay. He's convinced. But it's not very hard to break down the argument and see that it sounds like a crackpot. Makes no sense. According to the Torah, it makes no sense. Right? So obviously, A, got to be careful where you get information from, that's for sure. Right? And B, if someone wants the truth, the Gemara says if someone wants the truth, God will help them. Right? If you want to go on the right path. And then the Gemara says if you don't want the right path, God won't stop you. You have to want the truth. If you don't want the truth, then all kinds of things can go on. This is a proof for that. This is a proof for this. Well, that makes sense. Right. So people have an agenda. Right? They have an agenda. But, I don't want to point out, this might be, a little more of an extreme, example. Right? But at the same time, right, either you believe in the truth and what really is the truth, or you're out to lunch. You're totally out to lunch. Now, today, most people don't care about the truth. They want fantasy. They don't want to enjoy life, right? They want to enjoy life. They don't want to feel guilty. They just want to do what they want to do, according to whatever their desires tell them. Okay, it's their choice. It's their choice. That's probably where most people hold. Other people think, yeah, they have the truth, they have their beliefs, whatever. But when you hear what they say, and again, you break it down, you analyze it, sounds off the wall. Sounds off the wall. As I always say, you speak to a missionary, God forbid, you answer them, they don't have an answer, or they have this convoluted thing, they go on to something else. Something else, and it makes less sense. Right? We mentioned, I'll take questions in a second. Yeah, we mentioned, if the Torah says Moses is the greatest of all prophets, and that God says in front of 3 million people, right? They says, Moses is my trusted servant, you listen to whatever he says. And that means there's nobody greater than him. Now you tell me, okay, He didn't speak to the rock. He hit the rock. So he's not allowed to go into the land. Okay, he got punished. Very good. He got punished. Okay. So Joshua God says he's going to lead the people. You're not allowed in the land. He'll be allowed in the land. He'll lead the people. He's going to lead the people. He's going to take over. Now, does that show that Yeshua is greater than Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu made a mistake, whatever that mistake was. Whatever tiny mistake it was, he was not allowed to live in the land. That means Yeshua is greater? You can't have sometimes, a student greater than the teacher. Can have that. Not in this case. Right? So I asked this person, okay. I said, you're right. Yeshua took him in. So they said, well, then why do you have to listen to Moses? Because he's greater, because he let him in. But God didn't say Moses is not the greatest anymore. God didn't say he's not the greatest prophet of all time. He didn't change that. Okay, he made a mistake. But the mistake was so critical, he wasn't allowed to lead the people in. Okay. See where the logic breaks down here? If God were to come back and said, okay, Joshua's better, this, that, okay. But that statement's never taken back. The statement of Moses being the greatest of all prophets is never taken back. The statement of not listening to Moses is never taken back. God told Moses, in front of 3 million people, I have your back. And that never changes. Oh, he sinned. Okay. Whatever level that sin was, that doesn't change the facts. It doesn't change the facts. Oh, but he didn't allow the Jewish people in. He couldn't go with them. You're right. He got punished. Joshua didn't get punished. So if he didn't get punished, it shows he's greater. Where in the world are we? There's no logic in that. There's absolutely no logic. It's a good excuse to say, oh, see, Moses got punished. Joshua's better. You don't have to listen to Moses. Where does God say that? Where did God change his mind? Where did he change his mind? He didn't. Right? So again, the logic isn't there. For sure. I said other things that just totally didn't make any sense. Right? But certainly the logic's not there. So a person's got an agenda. They want to prove why they don't have to do what they have to do. So like anything else, anyone on any, path to spirituality, you have to evaluate evidence. You have to evaluate evidence and see if the evidence is true or not. And when this whole thing, I just, mention one other thing. The Jewish people have been punished. They've been thrown out of the land, this and that. You're right. Are the Jews still chosen? We're still chosen. We have more obligations than anyone else. We have greater responsibility. You're right. We've been punished. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. We haven't lost our status. Now they'll say we have, blah, 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 whatever. But God doesn't say we lost our status. The Torah doesn't say we lost our status. According to their interpretation of certain things, yeah, that's what it means. Okay. Right? So some people will have an agenda. And the people who have an agenda is it's a waste of time unless they're willing to look at the truth. But what do you see more often than not? You get them in a corner. You box them in a corner. They'll ask something else. But that wasn't the question. I boxed this guy in the corner and said, answer my question. Yes or no? Right? Don't give me Webster's fifth definition. I want an answer. Yes or no? See, changing the subject is very convenient. Oh, you don't have an answer. Give me an answer. Don't change the subject. Oh, no, but you think. No. Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter what this other thing is. Answer this question. How can that be? Right? So you see, the Torah is always Torah's always intertwined. One thing leads to another, but it all comes full circle. Yeah, take some questions. Have I ever read Noah Harari's work? No, I have not. Other questions. Oh, a lot of questions here. How can somebody know she is a Jewish descent or a Jewish soul in the non-Jewish body? I would say you can't. Anyone who wants to convert, I would say their soul was probably on Mount Sinai, and their soul was a Jewish soul at one point, and it got messed up and through intermarriage and assimilation. How a Jewish soul becomes a non-Jewish soul, that's a very good question. But they have to go through conversion. They would have to go through conversion, right? How would you know? You wouldn't. The only way you could possibly know, I would say, is, if a person, let's say a person came from the Bnei Anusi, right? Their great-great-grandparents were really Jewish. They were like crypto Jews, secret Jews. But essentially, down the line, they became, they weren't Jewish. They didn't marry Jewish or whatever. Right? So, a person saw family members or grandparents or maybe great-grandparents, doing certain things that were Jewish customs. So now they start to question it later, what it was. Right? Unless the person knows they had family, they did research, they have family that, potentially Jewish family. Genealogy is one way. DNA test doesn't do anything, so it's a waste of time. No matter what a DNA test shows, total waste of time. Right? So that doesn't prove anything. But you wouldn't know. You wouldn't necessarily know. Some people would say, I've had this calling, I've had this feeling for a long time. I've been drawn to the Jewish people for a long time. Yeah? Okay. That could be something. Maybe that spark of the Jew comes out, maybe. But essentially, you wouldn't know, right? First of all, either you have a Jewish soul or you don't. Right? Nothing in between. Either you're a Jew and you have a Jewish soul, or if you're a non-Jew, you have a Jewish soul. Right? That soul is non-Jewish. How that works, okay. So it's a whole discussion in Kabbalah. We're not going to go there. But essentially, even if the person's a non-Jew, they can convert, get a Jewish soul, or get their Jewish soul back, or whatever. Right? But you wouldn't know. There are plenty of people out there that will say, I've been drawn to this for many years. But they don't necessarily know why. They don't have, a concrete reason why. So that could be. That could be. It's part of their, Jewish ancestry coming out. Could be. Doesn't mean they have a Jewish soul. They don't. Unless they're Jewish. Right? They don't, the person will say, I have a Jewish soul and whatever, even though I'm not Jewish and I'm lacking these other things. But again, either you have it or you don't. Lacking these other things are important. You have to go in front of a rabbinical court, take on the commandment, whatever. There are things you got to do. And if you didn't do it, you didn't do it. I get this all the time. People say, I'm Jewish in my heart, I'm more Jewish than most people, this and that, right? And they get insulted when you say, but you're still not Jewish. They get insulted. Okay. People shouldn't necessarily get insulted, but, at the end of the day, either person's mother wasn't Jewish, so they have to go through conversion. If they haven't gone through conversion, not Jewish, doesn't matter what they do and how much they've done. According to God, they're not a Jew. They're not a Jew. Can somebody we'll keep this conversation clean? I want to get banned from YouTube. Yeah? Keep this conversation clean. Isn't it true that either, that a woman cannot be somewhat pregnant? Either you are or you're not. Right? You take a test. Either it's positive, right? Or take a blood test, 99%. Yeah, 99% accurate. Take a blood test. Either it shows it's positive or it's negative. Doesn't say anywhere in between. Either you are or you're not. It's not make-believe, abracadabra, all this. It's either you have a Jewish soul or you don't have a Jewish soul. You went through conversion, or you didn't. It's not a game. Not what a person feels. It doesn't matter what they feel. It's irrelevant what they feel. Either you have it, or you don't have it. Someone says, yeah, that's pretty messed up. They always claim spirits inside them. This guy was like pretty convinced. I mean, he's like, I've seen it, I felt it, he's come to me as this. That's, it's out there. I mean, he wants to say, he's got the spirit, he's seen the spirit of God and God, whatever. God says you can't see my face and live. So what is it? How does God make an aspect of himself? It's like, God's not in free form. He's got no form. Yeah, it is messed up. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense at all. Somebody mentions Hosea chapter 14, verse 2-3. Render for Paul the offering of our lips. Yeah. Right? That's forewarning that, prayer. That you can't have, if you don't have sacrifices. But again, it's just such a messed up thing that because you can't do sacrifice, what? So we're not Jewish anymore? We're not chosen anymore? Yeah, the temple got destroyed. Jewish people have been exiled. Jewish people have been slaughtered and this and that, reward and punishment. Yeah, true. A lot of suffering. No question. No question about it. But again, just because that's the case doesn't mean you throw everything out. Right? It doesn't mean you say, well, you're no longer here. He's taken over. His sins, he atones for everybody. It's beautiful. Except it goes against everything the Torah says. Totally goes against what the Torah says. Why would we celebrate Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur wouldn't make any sense. It's all about atonement for what you've done. Right? It's according to them, they don't need Yom Kippur. Good. They wouldn't have to fast. Right? You wouldn't have the 27-hour fast. Be in synagogue all day. Doing confession. Very good. Be a lot easier. A lot easier. Someone says, Rambam says, one of his writings, converting Judaism, it's easier for a poor person to get converted to Judaism than a rich person. I don't know. First of all, you got to show me the source. Second of all, poor person is going to have more difficulty. Why is a poor person going to have more difficulty? How are they going to move to a Jewish community? How are they going to afford tuition for their kids in school? Yeah. It's easier for a poor person to learn Torah. That's true. Right? That is definitely true. Because usually Torah and money don't mix. The Gemara says in Brachos, the Gemara says the person doesn't necessarily inherit both worlds. Meaning, person could be a big rabbinic scholar, but doesn't mean he's going to have money. Usually, if a person has a lot of money, they ain't going to be big rabbinic scholars. They don't mix. Mishnah Perkei Avos says in Ethics of Our Fathers, you have 100, you want 200. 200, you want 400. So you're more interested in making money than learning Torah. You lose that balance. Yeah. So I would say it's easier. It's easier. It's very easier. It's easier for someone who doesn't have money to learn Torah. Because you don't have anything else. There is nothing else. Right? Nothing to get carried away with. Poor person has more emunah. Yeah. I mean, if a person really is God-fearing and they have money, then in theory they could also have a lot, of emunah and be thankful for God granting them this surplus. But they have to help others with it. Someone says, many rabbis don't care about and don't want poor people. Let me ask you. I'm going to offend a lot of people here. But the truth is the truth. Let me ask. If it's a choice of helping a poor non-Jew who wants to convert to Judaism, yeah, or giving money to a Jewish woman who doesn't have a husband and is struggling raising their kids, who's the money going to go to first? The Jewish woman. We look out for our own first. I agree. A lot of people don't have money. It'd be easier for them to convert if they had money or people help them. Great. There are 150,000 causes within the Jewish people that people need help. Schools, widows, orphans, plenty of things. We're not lacking. We are not lacking of things to support that people need help. Marrying off the kids, many things. So if I have 150,000 causes that are all legitimate causes, let's say, they're all legitimate causes. You got a whole bunch of converts who love to convert, but they can't move, or they're stuck. Who's coming first? So I had someone curse me out a number of years ago. They were on disability, and they were claiming they're more religious than most people, blah, blah, blah. It's our obligation. It's the Jewish people's obligation. We should pay for them to move, give them money, do other things. Why is that our obligation? I'll tell you a story. Came in, before I was working with converts, that came into my Rabbi's basement. And there was a rabbinical court. It was about somebody that was dressed up like an Orthodox Jew. And the person, for 10 years living in Europe, never worked. Went around to different Jewish communities, or different communities, whatever. Schnorring. What does schnorring mean? Taking handouts. Person never worked. So the rabbinical court didn't necessarily like this guy's answers. What he was saying, why he wanted to convert, but the group he was a part of said, you have to go to this rabbinical court and go there for conversion, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Now, Rabbi told me afterwards, he says, this person, even if we would convert them, they're going to be a burden to the Jewish people. This person is never going to work. He's got a track record. It's never going to work. Now, it's one thing, a person's down and out, they have difficulty and different things. They're part of the community helps, okay. But imagine, word gets out, Jewish people help this person or help other people. You don't think people are going to line up? Maybe yes, maybe no. What does the rabbinical court want to see more than anything else? The person self-sufficient. Doesn't mean they have to be rich. They have to be self-sufficient. If they get in trouble and they have difficulty, okay, they should be helped. Why should the Jewish people, why should we be there helping out non-Jews? Let non-Jews help the non-Jews. I agree. Jewish people don't have money, yeah, and they struggle. You think people want to listen to them? Unless they're big rabbinic scholars? No. Right? There's a statement, Bala Mea Bala Deya. Person has 100, people want to listen to them. They have money, they want to listen. If you don't have money, people don't want to listen to you. Unless you have what to say. Yeah, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying this is the reality. So this is a problem. This is a big, serious problem. But it's going to be very hard. I'm not going to say impossible, but it's going to be very hard for this to change. Why? Not because we're stubborn. I mean, we might be, but most non-Jews interested in converting to Judaism don't finish. Less than 20%, very small percentage. Now, deep in my heart of hearts, or my heart of hearts, I would say people, serious, committed, should be vetted, whatever. There should be a fund to help them. There should be. But you're going to have to find someone who believes in the cause to do it. Because it ain't going to happen. In general. It just doesn't, So we look, we don't want to help poor people. No, that's not the question. We have a lot of poor people. Help our own poor people. But, if someone's able to help themselves somehow and get out of Dodge, some people can't. Okay. Some people, get this all the time. Far-flung places. Even if I would believe 100% they're the real deal and they should convert and all that. Even if I would believe it, who in the world is going to sponsor them? What Jew is going to sponsor this? You can say it's wrong. We should just look out for our own. These people are our own. They are going to convert. Let's say that's true. Let's say. But most people don't end up converting. So then you put all this effort and difficulty and all that, and nothing came to fruition. But you say, but what about the person that does convert? They say, oh, that's a different issue. That's a different issue. But what are we supposed to do? What are the Jewish people? A big charity organization? We just help all the non-Jews in the world? So you say no. People are serious about conversion. Again, if you tell me on a list, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 1,000 of things that are plaguing the Jewish people today, what they need help in financially. 1 in 1,000. This comes up on the list about number 10,250. I'm not saying to be cruel. There's a reality. We're going to help our own first. Doesn't mean they shouldn't be helped. I agree they should be helped. I definitely agree. Yeah. So what about, secular Jews become religious? Yeah. They have no family, no help, this and that. Doesn't the Jewish community rally around them? Yeah, but there's one big difference. They're Jewish. You're going to say it's not fair, but I want to be Jewish. Okay. How many non-Jews who really want to convert, who are so serious about conversion, end up converting? It's a very small percentage. Since it's a small percentage, no one's going to raise that kind of money for that. I'm not saying people shouldn't be helped. Yeah, to raise that money to do it, not going to happen. Someone else, that I know works with a lot of converts also, he said this is one of the single biggest problems. It's a problem. But what does the base in the rabbinical court want to see? That a person can do things for themselves. They're not just going to sponge off us. I'm not saying they're sponging off. They say, I don't have them, I don't have the way to do it. More than the single mother, a few kids, they barely make ends meet. Well, what are you supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? We're going to help our own first. Not a question we don't want to help. That's not the issue. There are other causes that are going to come first. Many other causes. You want to say it's racist, this, that, we should help. Doesn't matter. There are thousands of causes that'll come first. Now I know I had a student of mine converted, went across country. They convert. The father doesn't have to fill in. They raise money within a very short amount of time going to fill in. Yeah. That's after the fact. Not before. These people didn't have a lot of money. They flew across country twice in order to convert with their family. They give a discount. They didn't subsidize the flights. It's on their dime. They have to come. Oh, question, I sent them across the country, okay. The rabbinical court where they were wasn't worth very much. Okay. That's a different issue. They didn't get a free ride. They said, okay, I want to meet you on this. They didn't make them come 5 times a year. They made them come twice. They had to stay somewhere, whatever. They had to pay the expenses. Okay. And if they didn't have it, they wouldn't have gone. Or try to find a basin closer. Some people can say, well, that's not fair. Okay. Got to start somewhere. Right? You got to start somewhere. So it's not, we don't care about poor people. It's not true. But it's not going to be a priority for us because they're not Jews. Even if they're in the process of conversion. Because the rabbinical court will say, prove to me, show me. If the person can't move, they can't move. It's tragic. Or they can't move. That's the single biggest problem. That is the single biggest problem. So again, someone would say, well, it costs a lot. Did you get to do this, do that? There should be a fund to help them. So in my heart of hearts, I would say you're right. You're right. Who's going to support it? Unless you find someone who's a convert who's got a lot of money that could do that. Or you find other people sympathetic to the cause, but good luck. Yeah, that's just the reality. Someone asked Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein of Jewish descent. Einstein was for sure Jewish. Newton, I don't know. Newton, I'm not sure. That I'm not sure. Maybe he is, not sure. So that's difficult in converting someone to sign the papers that they were responsible. Listen, they got to do a background check also, just see where you're coming from. Make sure no issues, as well. But at the end of the day, right? That's the bottom line. A person has to be responsible. They want to see that you're responsible. And one of the things showing responsibility is what is moving. But you can say it's too hard, it costs too much. Okay. But that's part of it. 100%, that's part of it. That, because the person can't move doesn't mean not serious. Doesn't mean that. But they want to see a person can do things on their own. The rabbi's responsibility, the person becomes a slacker or chooses not to be Jewish. That's a different issue. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Right? Yeah. Someone, let's say, is giving classes, they're a student of theirs, they're slacking this and that, they should. They should give more. Right? They should rebuke them. It's not an easy process. Not an easy process. Right? The rabbi has responsibility, 100%. Of course, he has responsibility. Imagine what the community thinks. You brought in somebody. Yeah. First, the rabbi brings in someone. And they're a huge burden to the community. They're a huge burden to the community. Who's at fault? The rabbi brought him in. It's the fault. Could have had the best intentions. I'm not even going to say they do things wrong, and, they cause other problems. I'm not even talking about that. They're a financial burden to the community. You need a lot of resources for them. Now, that's the reason that they may not take them. Could be. If they see that. My brother say, well, it's not fair. Well, what does that have to do with being fair? Community can only do so much. You got bigger communities, have more money, okay. But again, they're going to be heavily taxed also by other things going on. Someone needs surgery, they have no money. It costs them, I don't know, $50,000. Where are they supposed to get the money from? They don't have money. Community will help. They'll help raise the money. They'll help different ways. 100%. Right? The rabbi has responsibility of who to bring in. Yeah. But, in this case, something like that, yeah. If they're going to be a huge burden to the community, it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible, even if the intentions were the greatest of intention. Doesn't matter. It's irresponsible. He's responsible for helping every Jew make his own decision to be Shomer Shabbos or not. He is. Right? What's the rabbi's job? Right? He has to tell people what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. Yeah, so he has to try and elevate them spiritually. That's his job. 100%. Give classes, elevate them. Someone that says it's a package deal to become Shomer Shabbos. Why is it a package deal? Either you're going to do it in stages or whatever, or not. People have to know what the penalty is for not keeping Shabbos. They have to know what the repercussions are. They have to be educated properly, right? It's not an overnight thing. Not an overnight thing. Someone asked, some of the common Hebrew alphabet, in order correct, some rabbis teach it's not. What would I say on that? I don't know. Some rabbis teach it's not the right order. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into it. I don't see what, even if it isn't. Let's say there are people, there are rabbis that think it's not the right order. Does it matter? Does it matter if it's in the right order or not? In your everyday life, does it really matter? I don't know if it matters. I don't know. I'll look into it. Few distractions, temptation when you have less money, right? That's true. Right? Usually rabbinic scholars come from no money or they don't have money. It's the way it is because a lot of distractions, right? Someone asked, are in Hebrew the primordial Hebrew? Yes. What we call Lashon HaKodesh. Spoke about that before. I'm not going to go into that now. Some take advantage. Some going to take advantage. Don't treat it the same. All right. I'm not going to say what some rabbis do, other rabbis do. I'm not going to answer for anybody. Yeah. Some people may say they show favoritism. They don't show favoritism. Every person, let's just say, and every rabbi is going to have to answer for themselves. Some people think this isn't fair. That's not fair. Okay. Yeah. When you're in charge and you're making the decisions, you'll tell me what's fair and not fair. Yeah. I'm not going to go into what people do, what people don't do. I have heard stories. People have done things that aren't right. Okay. That I would agree. Nobody's perfect, 100%. But we're not going to say everybody's like that. You're not going to malign everybody and say, they're all bad. No. So you're not saying they're all bad. So, some have done things that are wrong. Others, others are totally honest. They don't. Okay. You're going to tell me it's luck of the draw? I don't know. I don't know about that. You can have some bad eggs. Okay. Right. There are places where people can't convert because it's corrupt. Yeah. It's corrupt in different ways. That's a problem. That's a problem. So yeah, it can really go against somebody, even though they're doing the right thing, they get maligned or something happens where they're loggerheads with the person that's calling the shots and they make problems. Yeah, that's a problem. That is a problem. So an ass woman wore tefillin with head covering. It's tefillin bad now. No. Tefillin's not bad. A woman should do it. It's forbidden for a woman to do it. If she did it, okay, it's like any other transgression. It's like any other transgression. Yeah, but it shouldn't be done. It doesn't invalidate tefillin. How's the rabbi supposed to know? Again, somebody in a position of leadership, you gotta look into the situation. You gotta see. That's their job. That is their job. Why do you think it takes so long to convert? Because the Beis Din wants to make sure that a person's ready, they know what they're doing, they've done proper background checks, other things. They want to make sure. They want to make sure they're going to be a good fit for the community. There are a lot of factors involved, not just the pushing them aside. There are a lot of different factors involved. Right, 100%. Someone asks, one second, let me see. Yeah, somebody asks, we should listen to that minister's spirit. Right, which is true, anyone can have a personal revelation. Right, it's a problem. The person says, yeah, you look at any other so-called religion. Where are the miracles done? In front of how many people? A few. A lot of JC's miracles done in front of a bunch of prostitutes. Okay. Yeah, Muhammad, his flight from Mecca to Medina, how many people were there? A few. No other so-called religion makes the claim we do that's done in front of 3 million people. Give or take. Yes, the person can say, the Spirit told me this. People are, what do you call it? Divinely inspired. What does that mean they're divinely inspired? A lot of crackpots divinely inspired. Doing it for the better and for the masses. The divine inspiration means nothing. It just means they're a crackpot. That's all it means. Yeah, they're nuts. Trying to prove their thing, left, whatever it is, their agendas have inspired. Well, divine inspiration is a very low form of prophecy, and very few people have it. There are great rabbis in every generation that have it, right? But it's a low form of prophecy. Yeah. Whatever a person says, I got the spirit, I got this, someone here says schizophrenic. They're nuts. Yeah. 100%. Right? For themselves, yeah, I saw this, I saw that. But what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. You saw the spirit. God, how can God have a spirit? Right? God's infinite, can't have a spirit, right? So, and even if it would be, like you're seeing God and that's who God is, doesn't Moses say, doesn't God say to Moses, you can't see me face to face? No one can see my face and live. So he said, it's not his face, it's the spirit. Makes no sense, you're right. It's illogical. Totally logical, but, I spoke to this person last night, like this person was a lunatic. Sounded like an absolute lunatic, with all the religious trappings. He's come to me, he's inside of me, I have to keep that, but it made no sense. No sense at all. 100%. Couldn't get this guy like off the phone. I mean, finally, I just don't want to hang up on him. That was kind of, would have been kind of nasty. I probably should have. But whatever, let him go on, and then I just like rammed him and kept answering. And finally, I just said, like, I don't have time for this. I said, I'm not the address, very good, and that's it. I said, maybe find someone else, but ain't no one's gonna deal with you. You're gonna try and tear apart the Torah and show why JC is here and there and everywhere. Like, no one in the right mind is gonna do that. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. I'm gonna stop here. I do this every when do I do this? I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos, I got Q&As, ethics for fathers. What else? Book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN at gmail.com. By the way, I did a podcast yesterday, part one of mystical aspects of Rosh Hashanah. I'm going to be part two next week. That's on Blog Talk. That's on BJQ Radio. You can Google it. It's on my Facebook page. You can check it out. Going live on Roku Network, other things. So see where all this ends up going. Otherwise, I'm going to sign out, whichever the good. Beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, depending where you are, or almost end of the day.